Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Get ready to shake your shamrocks at the hottest St. Paddy's Day party in the city. Xfinity Live is bringing you over 175 craft beers from 75-plus breweries at Springfest Live on Saturday, March 16th. Sip on your favorites from Victory Brewing, Terrapin, Leinenkugel, and more with our celebrity co-host, Aunt Mary Pat. Rock out to Split Decision, Bagpipers, Irish bands, and DJs. Enjoy food trucks and inflatable pubs, silent disco, bull riding, karaoke, and much more. Whoa, that's a lot. Don't miss out on the party of the year. Tickets are on sale now at xfinitylive.com.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Welcome to College Lacrosse here on LSN. Tonight, proud to present Game 2 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. On the main line outside Philadelphia, Villanova Stadium, the spot. The 11th ranked Wildcats welcome Philly rival Penn to Villanova Stadium. Travis Eldridge and Mitch Belisle back with you for Game 2 of this one. The two teams getting set to go the second game of this doubleheader. Mitch, in the first game, we saw Drexel really bounce back in that second half against St. Joe's, able to come back and get an impressive win, a win they really needed.
Yeah, that was a huge win, and they were able to do that by first solidifying their defense and their goaltending, clearing the ball up to their offense, and then getting their attack involved where they could do the things that they're really good.
And we saw a first career start for the goalie Ross Blumenthal for the Dragons, a spot that has been a question mark for this Drexel team this year. And the freshman, while he let in a couple early, was able to settle things down and make a bunch of stops.
Yeah, and it's always tough as a freshman, especially this is your first game 4 games into the season. But he did a nice job of commanding that defense. I think the defense also helped him out by getting out in gloves and making the shots a little bit further out and under pressure, so he was able to settle into that role. But much better job in the second half, and he started to build up momentum.
And it was a big statement for this defense of Drexel. Gave up just one goal to the Hawks in the second half, and that has been a question mark for this team.
Yeah, and that was something that Coach Volker mentioned. He wanted to see them start coming together. So hopefully this will be the way that they can start to gel.
So let's turn our attention to this game. The 11th ranked team in the country in Villanova against Penn. For the Quakers, they're 2 goals away from very likely being a top 10, top 15 team in the country.
Yeah, they have this unbelievable murderer's row of a schedule. They had a chance to beat Maryland. in overtime. Maryland ended up winning that one, and then they lose another heartbreaker to Penn State, which is, which is now a top 5 team. So it's certainly good. You never want to say a loss is good, but those are good losses.
Yeah, maybe one of the best 0-3 teams in the country. For the Wildcats, they too have played some close games. 2 overtime thrillers against Yale and Hofstra, both winners from Connor Kirst.
Yeah, Connor Kirst has stepped up huge. He's making those big plays. That he is the emotional leader of this team, and they're definitely going to turn to him tonight as they face off with Penn.
And those 2 overtime wins against then #1 Yale and against Hofstra have the Wildcats now top 15 in the country, ranked number 11 and at 3-1 on the season. To see Connor Kirst celebrating after a couple of game winners. He told me 2 different answers when I asked him to rank those game winners. He said, at one point he said Yale, and the other one he said Hofstra. I guess all OT game winners just kind of all blend together.
Yeah, I'm so bad with that kind of stuff. I don't remember goals from high school versus goals from, well, I remember my pro goals because I only had 2.
I would hope so.
So it's pretty easy when you have such a low number. But, for goal scores like that, they must all seem to blur together.
You just have to be happy that this game isn't taking place at Penn's Franklin Field, because I know that's a place of misery for you.
Yeah, the only 2 Ivy League games that we lost in my career were both there. So 22-2 is a solid record, but both coming at Franklin Field, it still gives me the heebie-jeebies when I drive by.
This Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic will head to Franklin Field next year as they go through the rotation. But tonight, here on Friday, Game 2 between Villanova and Penn taking place at Villanova Stadium. These same 4 teams, including Drexel and St. Joe's, who we saw earlier, will shift gears to West Philadelphia to play at the home of the Dragons at Drexel on Sunday, a doubleheader we will also have here on LSN. At the face-off X to kick things off, we have Dan Fisher, a 2-headed monster for the Wildcats. We'll see Dan Fisher and the Albany transfer Zach Ornstein there at the X for Villanova. For Penn, it's Kyle Gallagher, the transfer from Hofstra.
And he's been huge for them. They really like this kid. He's doing great in the classroom. He fits in well with the team culture, as Coach Mike Murphy said. So he's been a huge addition coming over from Hofstra.
We saw some flurries throughout Game 1. The flurries continue here into the start of Game 2. A whistle, and the ball will go to the to Penn for the opening possession of this game. We're going to tell Tyler Dunn to bring this thing back. One of the key seniors on this Penn squad. Part of a really important recruiting class coming out of the class of 2015 in high school, including the likes of Simon Matthias, Dunn. You also include Noah Lehman in there as well. It's a class of guys that have been leaders since their freshman year.
Yeah, and Coach Murphy he feels like this team from top to bottom has so much depth and is so complete.
On the backside, a shot and a score. Right on cue, it's Simon Matthias.
Just a simple 2-man game there. Great job of drawing that slide. There's no help down the backside from the midfielders. And Simon Matthias is able to easily put that home. So basically a 1-on-0 on the goalie.
And in talking with Coach Mike Murphy, he said Matthias has actually been kind of quiet for them this year, looking for him to step up while asserting his power here early.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be the emotional leader for this team, as well as Tyler Dunn, another big do-it-all midfielder that's going to be the driving force to their offensive engine.
Back out there is Fisher to go up against Gallagher. Good battle. Gallagher able to win it out, but the Wildcats there for the loose ball. They win it back to their goalie, Will Vuitton. Getting another start here for the Wildcats, making his first career start against Delaware last week. Nick Testa started the first couple of games for Villanova, but Will Vuitton has taken over that starting role lately.
Yeah, Coach saying that Will's been pushing Nick Testa in practice every week, and he earned that spot and did a great job. And so now, or did a good enough job at least, and now he's getting the nod tonight.
Eric Overbay's shots easily saved by Reed Junkin. And back come the Quakers.
Reed Junkin, Again, another guy that has been there for a long time. He's a big piece of this defense, and having that leadership in the goal, that makes such a big difference.
Junkins made double-digit saves in all 3 games so far for the Quakers. Guy who last year made a career-best 20 saves against Princeton. It's a lot of rubber to see coming your way as Sam Hanley sends one high.
Sam Hanley, huge. We talked about Hanley being such a big body. That whole midfield is just massive, with Dunn just being so strong, Bartolo and Hanley being 6'5" and 6'6". It's like,
unbelievable.
It's crazy. You think you're playing against a basketball team out there.
Dunn able to scoop up a loose ball. Penn keeps possession, 30 seconds on the shot clock. Wrapping around, that's Handley. Still plenty of time to operate if you're the Quakers. It's Matthias to trigger from X. Got the first goal today. Wrapping around, Handley getting a bunch of early looks.
Getting that big little matchup behind. You've got one short stick, one long pole back there.
That one rings the bar.
Wow, that
Adam
came
Goldner
straight down. It was like that ball disappeared after it hit that pipe.
Adam Goldner just couldn't get it inside, but it does get a fresh 80 seconds for the Quakers. Mitch, what are some of the keys for Penn to walk away with a win here tonight?
I think Coach
That'll help.
Yeah.
Finally, Hanley
beat their man and score
beats
goals.
His man. There you go. It's just that easy. The 6'5" freshman on the scoreboard. It's 2-zip.
Yeah, I mean, I think the keys are going to be, and Coach Murphy said this, it's doing everything a little bit better. And so, you know, it seems like a simple solution, but he said if they can get 1 to 2 more saves, if they can get 1 to 2 more clears successfully, those will be helpful. But right here, you see Hanley do a nice job of just beating his man one-on-one. He's got that short stick matchup. He just runs by him and buries the goal. I thought Villanova did a nice job early in the beginning part of this possession of sliding nice and early. There, they didn't have someone ready to go.
I thought it was interesting when you look at this Penn and what they've done so far. The loss to Duke by 10 at Duke, they had to move that game onto a side field because of torrential rainstorm down there in Durham. So you can kind of throw that one out. Otherwise, they've played both Maryland and Penn State really tough. A face-off win here, a shot from distance from Kyle Thornton sails wide. But you can almost throw that Duke game out and say, all right, this is a team that's going to give everybody fits all year long. The jump shot goes. 3-zip start for the Quakers as Adam Goldner puts one home.
Great take, and we've seen all 3 goals have come from that exact same side, right? They've all coming around the left-hand side. So that's an area where Villanova's got to send that slide. You see the man on the crease right there covering the crease player. He's got to go. But clearly, 1 spot, 3 goals. You need to figure out a plan to stop them from getting in that spot if you want to have success.
Early advantage here for the Quakers. And now we see Zach Orenstein, the UAlbany transfer, to take a face-off. First 3 going to Dan Fisher, but Kyle Gallagher able to win it to himself again. Gallagher right down the chute. Shot sails wide.
You got to feel good if you're Penn, getting some early looks off the face-off and also retaining possession after those looks. So Villanova hasn't even had a chance to play any offense yet.
We have not really gotten a chance to see what the Wildcats can do, so Penn continues to operate. It's Alex Rosner. Rosner along with Matthias and Dunn, all part of that U19 team that won gold for Team USA back in 2016. Coached by former Penn assistant Pat Myers and his brother Nick Myers, the head coach at Ohio State. Back out top to Licardi.
The U19 team, a great opportunity to get some good exposure.
Matthias, but Vatan able to get enough. Maybe a little help from the post as well, and either way, a big stop for the Cats.
Yeah, and they needed that, and most of all, they need the ball on their offensive end. They need to get their attack involved so they can start getting into a rhythm, and also they want to get some looks at the cage.
Yeah.
Helps to score goals.
You can't score if you don't have the ball.
True. Science has proven that time and time again.
It's wild how that works. Getting a look at this unit. This is Connor Kirst. He's had those 2 game winners that we talked about at the top of the broadcast. Sends it behind to Keegan Kahn. Spins. That shot, I think it rung the helmet of Junkin. Backed up here by the Wildcats.
You see the power of Connor Kirst. He bowled his way in. Got his hands in there, but great job standing tall in there by Junkin.
First midfield unit, Matt Campbell, Colin Crowley, and Connor Kirst. Campbell, the freshman, number 3 in white, has had 6 goals in back-to-back games for Villanova. This is Kirst. He rings the post. And a good look for Villanova, but they can't cash in, and back comes Penn.
It looks like they've got Noah Lehman matching up on Connor Kirst, and so far he's done a good job. You can see that's going to be a big physical matchup between those two all week. Noah Lehman, no slouch himself at 6'4", 205 pounds.
The big bodies, and you look at the Villanova defense, and I had a chance to call their game against Yale last year where they upset the team that went on to win the national championship back in February. And it's the same starting defense across the back line. You go 6'5", 6'6", 6'1".
Yeah, those are big boys, and this is...
Nice save by Vatan, who just took one in the stomach.
Yeah, this is not a game I think I could make my way as a defenseman anymore. To say I was undersized then, now I'm a midget.
Well, I mean, it's crazy to see how the evolution of some of these college lacrosse players, because it used to be you're 5'10", 5'11", it's not a big deal. Now, I mean, you're a short guy out there.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the smaller ones, and I was coaching a high school team, and I looked like I could have been a freshman out there. Maybe the wrinkled face doesn't help, but they were all towering over me. I said, don't worry, I could still beat you up, though.
Yeah, see, there you go. You got the toughness factor. That's what you need.
It's just all about playing your angles when you're this old.
Some old man game.
Exactly. Knowing when to reel it back in.
Matthias has all sorts of game, and he collects behind the cage, gets it back out top to Tyler Dunn. Dunn's got 5 points on the season. Last year, 29 points, including 25 goals. Here's Hanley, finds his way through the defense. He's got an early 2.
Great little hesitation there. He drew the slide kind of peeled off. He hesitated for a second and then turned the jets back on. No one was on him. He was able to walk in. That's a goal you dream about, but great little. So he draws the slide kind of goes over and covers to try to help out on the inside. Turns the jets back on, protects his stick, finds that seam, and does a nice job of bearing it. Great play, and I think you're starting to see the depth of this Penn team already, or at least how top to bottom they're really strong.
And a timeout from Villanova. That'll pump up Kyle Gallagher. It's all Quakers early at Villanova Stadium. Penn with an early 4-0 lead. We'll be back on LSN.
Hey everybody, it's time now for our Player of the Year watch. This week, it's Towson senior captain Brendan Sunday having a breakout season for the top-ranked Tigers. He's already surpassed his point total from last season in Towson's win over Loyola, scoring 4 goals and registering an assist. That just 4 days after scoring 9 points against Georgetown. CAA Player of the Week on February 26th as well. Sunday missed all of 2017 with an upper body injury and came back last year to score 23 points on 17 goals and 6 assists. As I mentioned, already surpassing that total this year in his first 4 games, this week playing in the Crown Classic in Charlotte. So it's Brendan Sunday this week. Who will it be next week? Check back each week this season for our Player of the Year watch right here on LSN.
Welcome back Back to Villanova Stadium. Travis Eldridge, Mitch Belisle back with you. College lacrosse on LSN. The second game of 2 here at the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic, and it has been all Quakers to start. A 4-0 lead over Villanova, and it's a 3-1 edge at the face-off X. Villanova has had maybe one real offensive opportunity. Penn's really dominating to start.
Yeah, they've done a nice job of pushing the ball and then keeping it until they find really good looks. And that's come from X 3 times, and then just now they're showing their dominance on both sides of the offensive end with Sam Hanley driving down, drawing that double, and then beating the double, frankly, to get open. So they just have big athletes. I mean, they're big, they're athletic, they can beat their man, and as we saw in the last game, right, sometimes it's ball movement that creates opportunities, but if you can beat your man one-on-one, it really doesn't matter if you're playing hockey, lacrosse, football, anything, if basketball, any team sport like that where you're trying to get to a goal, if you beat your man one-on-one, you got a pretty good shot at being dominant.
Zach Ornstein, the Albany transfer, back at the face-off X for Villanova to fight up against Kyle Gallagher. Ornstein kind of lost in the shuffle, of course, as T.D. Erlin took over the starting job as soon as he stepped on campus at UAlbany, but don't forget, he had a 55% win percentage at the face-off X as a freshman for the Great Danes, helped them get to the NCAA tournament, and then Erlin came in and he did what he did, and they actually both transferred in the same year.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where another guy that Coach Grotto talked about being such a great fit for what they're looking for at Villanova, and ultimately he's got a 3.6 GPA, and
another shot and another score. Adam Goldner's got a pair.
Wow, Villanova seems very disjointed on defense. They just are, their timing of their slides is all off. When they go, they're not backing each other up and getting that second slide. And so now this is one of those situations where it's almost the rubber band. It's like you pull one area and another area is going to go. They need to start getting on the same page, because it seems like, okay, we start pressing out and then you give up inside looks. You start covering inside, then you give up outside looks. And that's when things get really ugly, is when you can't try to find that happy medium between the two.
2 goals already in this first quarter for Goldner, coming off a career-best 5 goals in the loss to Penn State last week, and give an assist to Hanley as well. So Hanley with an early 3 points for the freshman from Portland, Oregon. And a turnover for Penn. That is a big break for the Wildcats.
Yeah, they could really use a good offensive possession here and hopefully get a couple guys to get some looks at the net. That's the big thing. You know, ultimately you really only get to take one shot, but if a couple guys get shots, or at least you have good looks, people feel like they're more involved. They feel a little bit more engaged in the game.
And it's interesting in the way this game has started with Penn dominating offensively. It's the Villanova defense that returns a lot of the experience from last year. The offense lost their top 2 scorers in Christian Cuccinello and Danny Seibel. They also lost that 6-year senior in John Clue. So this is the end of the field where they've had to try to figure some stuff out with some new pieces.
Yeah, and they've had some early success too, which has been nice. But they're going to have to dial it back in on defense. But like you said, they should have the experience to know how to handle that adversity and get back on the same page.
Kirsch sends it behind. It's the sophomore Keegan Kahn. Excuse me, this is Kahn, who sends it on the doorstep, but the stop as Corey McManus was shut down.
Corey McManus got to take one more step there. It was
one more step to greatness.
One more step to greatness. It was a good look there, but needs that extra step to get in front.
Skip pass down low. We got a long pole goal. BJ Ferrari.
And sometimes,
clicking.
I was going to say, sometimes when it goes right, it goes right. You look at that little almost shovel pass from the top. See, he draws the double team, little shovel pass. That's a great skip look there by Goldner. Goldner's now got 2 goals and an assist. So really, they're top guys. Matthias with a goal, Goldner with 2 goals and assists, Hanley with 2 goals and assists. They're really starting to click on all cylinders here, fire on all cylinders.
And BJ believes that hoodies can be worn in games. He's rocking the hoodie tonight. Pat Spencer got a lot of stuff for wearing the hoodie in the game against Towson that we did, but the hoodie works tonight.
We've got long sleeves on Kyle Gallagher, so you know, I guess whatever works. If you're up 6-0, that's you can wear pretty much whatever you want.
Recipe for success. As they go back to Dan Fisher, it doesn't matter. it's Gallagher dominating at the X so far. Goldner wanted the early hat trick.
Big save there by Vuitton that he needed to get that one. Much like the last game we saw, you give up a couple early goals, you need to start building that confidence back, both in your goalie and then your goalie to help your defense out. Make sure they feel like they've got someone back there that they can rely on to save the outside shots.
The 6 goals, the most Penn has scored in a first quarter so far this season. They've done it from everywhere. Hanley, Goldner, Matthias all getting into the scoring act early.
And Travis, it looks like Villanova dropped into a zone, so I don't know if that was something that they had been game planning or it was like, look, we're not stopping them the other way. We need to try something new here, but they were able to get the ball back. So maybe that's something we'll probably, or I would say that is something we'll probably continue to see until Penn's able to break that.
Get the feeling the Wildcats really could use a goal here late in the first quarter to try to get some momentum back.
Yeah, and this early in the game, you can never count a team out. 6 goals is a lot, don't get me wrong, but you have so much time with the 80-second shot clock. You're going to get possessions down the line, so it's just all about maintaining that focus and chipping away.
And Kirst does just that. The OT hero a couple of times this year has got his first of the night.
The shooting the lights out also helps with chipping away, so Connor Kirst just sets his feet and lets it fly. Great shot off hip. Or off shin, maybe. But yeah, that's a lot of speed and a lot of man shooting that ball.
Yeah, 6'2", 220. The junior from New Jersey, part of a Del Barton pipeline that Coach Corrado has developed here from the high school in New Jersey, the powerhouse there, to Villanova. This entire actually starting midfield unit, all Del Barton's alums when you look at Colin Crowley, Matt Campbell, and Connor Kirst.
Yeah, and he said, it's been working, so why change it? All these coaches, they have their pockets. We talked about 2 players from BC being on Drexel, and each coach has their pipeline, and especially if you have a good program, you trust that you get one kid in, he's going to go back and he's going to tell his buddies, he's going to tell his teammates, this is a great place to be. And so that's where it starts being really successful, is when you get that word of mouth and you get players that are happy where they are and they start to recruit their buddies, and then the recruiting becomes really easy.
Yeah, a nice takeaway there by Kyle Thornton. One fun fact about Del Barton and the connection, Coach Corrado, one of his best friends when he played at Villanova, was a Del Barton grad, and so I guess he can say it all started there.
Yeah, I was surprised to see how many New Jersey residents there are on this Villanova team. With the Philly connection, it looks like just one state to the northeast.
That's all. People from South Jersey say they're from Philadelphia, just like people like myself from just outside Philadelphia say I'm from Philadelphia. Up in Boston, if you're anywhere like Worcester over, you're from Boston. So that's how this all works.
No one's admitting they're from Worcester.
And once again, Villanova dropping back into that zone. See if Penn can find the key to breaking it. Matthias operating from X.
Travis, I really like this. Penn's got such big, strong guys. That's where the zone can be effective, is you're able to neutralize that element of their game because they can't dodge through you because you got so many men. And as I say that, they go dive right in the crease.
And we've got Vuitton's down. He had a collision with Rosner there in the crease. And this is the part of the dive rule that scared a lot of coaches, is the late shot clock situation, a guy trying to just last-ditch effort, a defenseman rolls somebody into his goalie.
Yeah, it's an element of the game that you're always going to have injuries, but this one can be especially dangerous, especially you got defensemen that are trying to protect their crease, protect the goal, so they're trying to put their body on the line and stop the player. But in this situation, we see, looks like they're going to call a push.
Yeah, the push goes against the Villanova player, the short stick D-midi, Chris Donovan.
So the goalie, despite feeling like he maybe got the raw end of the deal, that was caused by a penalty that now they're going to have to face some shots.
It's a tough break for the freshman from New Jersey, Will Vuitton. First extra man opportunity of the night for Penn. Hanley over to Bartolo, and it's stripped away. Nice play by the Wildcats. The short stick D mini TJ Camizio was stripped of the ball. That draws another flag. And it looks like the Quakers will also go to the box.
You know, Bartolo tried to feather that one in on that wing. I think I'd rather see him either shoot that or just continue moving around the horn. That's a little bit of fool's gold, a flash of a stick, and you think you can make the home run pass. But in that situation, here it is. Great job by Villanova of getting their sticks in lanes. Colin Hunt getting his stick up in that lane and knocking that pass down. And yeah, that's going to be a hold every time there.
So that's a 1-minute penalty on Penn. So we will go 5-on-5 for a little bit, and then the Wildcats will go on the extra man now as the Wildcats penalty is released. The unnecessary roughness call on the Quakers. Big chance to change this some momentum after Penn had the extra man opportunity at the other end. See if Villanova can cut back into this lead.
Villanova being patient, trying to find that great shot instead of settling for a mediocre one.
Shot sales high there from Kirst.
Maybe I should say just trying to make sure Kirst gets the shot since he rifled in that last one.
Hey, when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Keegan Kahn there to back it up. Timmy Hardy also in on the man up for Villanova. Skip pass out top to Campbell. He rings the bar. That thing almost knocked the goal over.
Yep. I think Junkin either got a piece of it or might have knocked it back out. That definitely hit the crossbar and something.
Yeah. And with it, they got a fresh 80 for Villanova. Still up a man. Excuse me, back to even strength. Kahn beats his man. He can't slide it in.
Kahn's been drawing that top matchup typically at the defensive end, and he's the quarterback that a lot is going to feed through over the course of this game. We've seen him in that man up. He was the distributor at X, trying to find those seams, find those gaps, and then there trying to create for himself a little bit as he came around X.
Campbell skips it back over to Kirst, and Kirst wanted to step down there. He couldn't handle it. Still plenty of time to operate for the Wildcats. And Kahn was saying that pass was deflected. Ref thinks otherwise.
Definitely got a piece of something. I believe he probably checked his stick, and that's one of my favorite things to do is lazy passes, getting that extra step and that extra long poke by the very last inch of your stick. That a lot of times can either get into the gloves or get into the stick and deflect that pass. That's a great way to get those kind of cheapies back for your team.
Matthias had a step. Sails it wide. Still 14 seconds left of the first quarter, a first quarter that really has been all Quakers. Jumped out to an early 6-0 lead and a chance to add one more. Matthias bodied up, fed in front, and he had Gergar on the doorstep. Instead, it goes out of bounds and brings us to the end of the first quarter. What a start by the Quakers. Jumping out to a 6-0 lead, and they lead by 5 over the 11th ranked team in the country after one. We'll be back with the second quarter here on College Lacrosse on LSN.
Hello, friends. Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. Kind of a surprise there to start out there at Villanova. 6-1 Penn after one. We'll see what happens in the second quarter, but possibly some future pros on the field in Philly and beyond, other places around the country this weekend. That, of course, on our minds this time of year with the MLL draft coming up, less than 24 hours now, and accordingly, the league releasing their new logo. There it is. MLL Commissioner Sandy Brown calling it a fast, aggressive, innovative, and player-focused logo reflecting the youthful, intense, and bold nature of the game. This part of the league's 2.0 initiatives, rebranding along with the shift in the schedule to start after the college season now, another player on the game day roster, and increase the salary cap by 51%. They had a big unveiling yesterday with a promotional video with a lot of the stars in the league. You can see the draft right here on LSN, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 7 o'clock is the pre-draft show on LSN. I'll be hosting that, so you have all sorts of analysis. You'll have breakdowns, different people talking about who might pick where, all for free on LAC Sports Network and the LSN app. Ohio Machine on the clock. And today, keep it here. Lacrosse Now, after the game, will feature not only the highlights and reaction from Philly, but all over the lacrosse world, including the Crown event in Charlotte. Some good games down there. Lacrosse Now, after the game, right here for free on LACSportsNetwork.com and the LSN app.
Ready to shake your shamrocks at the hottest St. Patty's Day party in the city. Xfinity Live is bringing you over 175 craft beers from 75 plus breweries at Springfest Live on Saturday, March 16th. Sip on your favorites from Victory Brewing, Terrapin, Leinenkugel, and more with our celebrity co-host, Aunt Mary Pat. Rock out to Split Decision, Bagpipers, Irish bands, and DJs. Enjoy food trucks and inflatable pubs, silent disco, bull riding, karaoke, and much more. Whoa, that's a lot. Don't miss out on the party of the year. Tickets are on sale now at xfinitylive.com.
Welcome back to Villanova Stadium. The Wildcats trying to work their way out of a 6-1 hole against the Quakers. Travis Eldridge, Mitch Belisle back with you here on LSN. You see where the Wildcats rank in the Inside Lacrosse media poll. Coming in at number 11 thanks to a couple of one-goal overtime wins against Yale and Hofstra. They're coming off a big victory, 17-9 over Delaware this past weekend. But otherwise, it has been a terrific run for Villanova here. 3 straight after the brutal 10-goal loss to Penn State in the opener at the very beginning of February. Talking to Coach Mike Corrado, he kind of chalked that up to, look, we came out, they came out red hot. They kind of beat us up in the very beginning. We settled down in the second half. We just kind of dug ourselves in too big of a hole.
Yeah, and hopefully this 6-1 is not the same thing. And maybe they've learned from that. That's the other piece to that. You know, those early games, sometimes those are where you learn your best lessons, even if they are hard losses. You got time to recover. You have time to watch film and figure out ways to simulate that in practice so you don't make those same mistakes again. And so far, they've bent and haven't broken after that 6-goal run.
The nice thing for Villanova after that loss is they had 2 weeks to practice, wash that thing clean, and get ready for Yale, and that's when they knocked off the then #1 team in the country.
Yeah, 2 overtime games, having that experience under your belt, that's huge in terms of building that character and figuring out how to face adversity.
Hanley bodies up his man. Quakers team knows plenty about adversity, sitting at 0-3. What a move by Tyler Dunn. Spinning and winning.
Tyler Dunn just really taking his time. I thought the on-ball defenseman did a nice job of forcing him underneath, but he continued to protect his stick, roll under before that slide could get there in time. Defenseman forced him where he wants. You got to send that slide there. The slide came, but it was too late, and so Dunn was able to get his hands free, reach around the goalie, and put that far side. So that's where you're taught as a defenseman, right, to take away the middle of the field, force him down, and trust your slide will be there. And this is where Villanova struggled, is trusting each other to send those slides and then playing good enough defense where the slide is not necessarily send right away.
Well, Dunn had a terrific game last year against Villanova, scored 5 goals in the loss against the Wildcats. A violation.
That's 2 violations.
Gallagher, yeah.
2 violations in a row against him after a dominant start.
Maybe the Wildcats have found a little bit of a solution there at the faceoff X as you give the faceoff win to Dan Fisher.
Turns out you got to force Kyle Gallagher to beat himself.
Exactly. That's all you got to do. You got to get in his head. Kahn from X. Nice stop by Junkin. I don't think he knew where it was for a second, but it was underneath him.
Miscommunication there defensively. Kahn was able to come around. Probably would have liked to see him maybe tighten that corner. He would have had a little bit of a better angle, but great job by Villanova exploiting that 2-on-2 there.
Lowly operating with it. Tough thing if you're Villanova and you've dug yourself into a 6-goal disadvantage is the fact that the face-off position has been so dominant for Penn. It's tough for the Wildcats to see a lot of runs coming their way unless they can turn things around there as Simon Matthias shoots high.
Yeah, and the other piece of that is you start forcing things. You think you can do it all in one shot, and so you start taking...
Nice stop by Vuitton.
Start taking those high-risk shots, and then it just starts piling on. So it's all about maintaining that consistency and knowing that if you stick to the game plan, you can eventually chip away. But that, I think, really comes down from the leadership, and that starts with the coach and then the upperclassmen. So hopefully Villanova will be able to respond and turn this into a game here.
Kahn gets the hands free. A race for it. And Reed Junkin won the race to the corner.
Kahn with another great take that I wish he would go a little bit more, turn those shoulders and go more to the cage, because I think both of those opportunities he had would be better looks on cage if he had just taken one more step.
Unsettled situation the other way. Poked free. Villanova's got to have this loose ball.
Starting to see some physical play. This has been a lot more off the ground, a lot more up in the air than the last game. So I was struggling for the words there, but less turnovers, less of the ball being kicked around. These teams seem like they're a little bit crisper, and because of that, we haven't seen that physical play. But it's starting to get ramp up right now.
Wildcats need to find something going offensively with just the one goal to the first quarter plus. Find themselves in this early hole. Kana's been able to get to this point, and he just hasn't been able to finish, and this one's stripped away.
Kana, I think, went for the big fake, or as Coach Tambroni used to call it, the sky whammy. The ball just fell out. A nicely timed check there by Penn.
Sky whammy is my new favorite term.
It's a great term.
Matthias!
Both teams not afraid to let it rip from outside. I mean, the studs really, Matthias and Kurse, kind of having a shooting gallery here. Who can shoot harder and further out, and we'll see who the end winner is.
Start getting a speed gun on some of these shots. Here comes Hanley out of the box to Dunn, and nice save by Vuitton. He saw it the whole way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Vuitton's done a nice job of staying high on those high-to-high shots, and that's one element that I think you talk about with kids over and over in terms of you got to change planes. Sometimes they feel like I'll just beat them with speed, but these goalies are so good now that you have to change planes. Otherwise, they'll just stay right there with your stick and track it into a save.
And a turnover in the clearing game gives it right back to Penn and Tyler Dunn.
Yeah, that's where it's really a killer, because as Villanova, you're down. You're not winning faceoffs, although they've won the last few, but you have to start manufacturing possessions. And if that means saves, you got to take those and take care of the ball. We saw that with Drexel and St. Joe's. Once Drexel was able to take care of the ball, they did a much better job.
Hanley knocked over his man, but he lost the ball in the process. Overbay able to get it ahead. And here come the Cats. Transition chance. Joey Fricaro dodges and scores.
Nice take. That's an and one. They got a flag coming down with that. Great job with the face dodge, tucking it underneath. You know, I thought that midfielder that moved that over to Fricaro, he probably should have taken that shot. He was at about 8 or 9 yards, but you know what? Get the ball to your scorers, and like I talked about, not trying to do too much. Let's get them to the guys that we know can do it. Nice job with the face dodge. Brings it underneath, beats Kyle Thornton, and is able to bury.
The Wildcats have been winding up from distance, but Joey Fricaro, really one of the first times we've said his name tonight, able to put home a goal. Another Fricaro starring for the Wildcats. You, of course, probably know his brother Jake, who played at Villanova just a couple of years ago, moved on to play professional lacrosse. His sister Jackie played at Villanova. Really
Dynasty.
Really the only one that stands out is the older brother Jeff, who played at Princeton.
What a slouch.
Yeah, right? Says, hey, I got an Ivy League education, everybody. So the extra man as they win the man-up face-off, but stolen away on the skip pass.
Noah Lehman getting up in that lane. He has impressed me probably the most of anyone on the defensive end so far. He's done a great job of one-on-one coverage, covering off ball, and he's just a big physical presence.
And Joe Liccardi able to clear the ball. An important clear for Penn to kill off this extra man for the Wildcats. And we're back to even strength.
And looks like Villanova has started to settle into this a little bit. They look more comfortable. You can see they're communicating. They're getting out and pressuring the ball when they need to, but sinking back and supporting each other. So they've made it a one-to-one game in the last few minutes, and that's made a big difference.
And Vatan and goal has settled in. He's got now 5 stops to go along with the 7 goals he's given up, and a turnover caused by Villanova.
Nice little sky whammy by the defenseman there. Got the attackman going. Thought I'd use that again since you like it so much.
The sky whammy.
All credit Jeff Tambroni.
Yeah, I feel like Champ Kind when I say sky whammy. Shout out to Anchorman. Connor Kirst goes to work. See if some of these midfielders can get involved. Overbay and Campbell.
Yeah, we haven't seen much initiation from up top. It's been...
Kahn wraps around and he finally gets that shot to go.
You know what, Travis? I don't think his feet took the extra step, but he wrapped his stick all the way around his body there and was able to get a better angle for that shot. Also hides it from the goalie. So we'll see this time. Same situation. Gets that step on his defenseman, but instead of taking that extra step with his foot, he wraps his whole arms around. It's almost like an over-the-shoulder shot, but it's really difficult for a goalie to track. Near impossible for a defenseman to get your stick in their gloves because they're wrapping it around them, and then it gets a better angle on the goal. So great job there by getting the ball forward and into a better shooting spot than it's been the last 2 times, and that's able to capitalize on that.
First goal of the night for Keegan Kahn, coming off a terrific freshman season where he started all 16 games, put up 45 points for the Wildcats last year as they made the NCAA tournament. Fisher won the face-off, but he lost it on the ground ball. It's Dunn who scoops it up. And Dunn does a little bit of everything for Penn. He plays offense, he plays face-off wings, and it gives Matthias a chance here in transition. We got a crease violation on Penn. The guy that just slipped down there.
And you're starting to feel the momentum come back to Villanova. And this is where, again, you can't get crazy. You've got to continue chipping away and do the things that's been successful, which is Kahn initiating right now and finding that open man.
Campbell on the run.
Here we go, right on cue. Kahn taken to the cage.
Draws the quick double.
And that's difficult. He drew the double, but Patrick Daly wasn't at X. You saw him coming to X too late. You need to have an outlet, and that's kind of the fundamentals of offense in lacrosse. Is you draw a double, and then you have an outlet in front of you and an outlet behind you.
Kirst a tough angle there, and Reed Junkin up to the challenge. He's got 4 saves.
Nice job by Reed Junkin hugging his pipe there. That gives your defense a confidence. If they push people into the right spots, that you're going to be successful.
And a turnover, and the Wildcats another chance to continue to cut into the lead. We've got a timeout. When you look at the all-time series between the Wildcats and Penn, this is the 30th all-time meeting. Penn leads the series overall 17-11, but the Quakers have lost the last 3 meetings. The one thing to note of that is of the last 20 games they've played every year since 1998 except for 2017. Of those last 20 games, 9 of the 20 have been decided by just 1 goal.
Yeah, and I was talking to Matt McMahon, a Penn great, earlier today, trying to get a little insight from him, and he was talking about how crazy the series has been. In 2010, there's a double overtime game. In 2011, a 45-yard buzzer beater as Villanova edges Penn. So, you know, 2014. He was just telling me story after story of how crazy these games are, and you know, while there's the difference between the Ivy, you know, each has their own league play, but being in such close proximity, recruiting the same kind of kids, they all know each other.
Yeah.
You know, you see them, they see each other out in the city of Philadelphia. So there's a great rivalry building here, and these games are reflecting that.
Last year's game went the way of the Wildcats. Villanova's won the last 3 in this matchup. It was Villanova who got out to the 6-0 lead last year. Penn came back, made things interesting, but Villanova going on to win 8-6. So Penn kind of flipping the script on the Wildcats here at Villanova, as last year's game was down at Penn at Franklin Field.
I'll take the over on the combined score for this game.
Yeah,
if it was 14 last time, we're already at 10 here.
I think we're well on our way.
Although both teams have definitely slowed down. Penn started off, those 6 goals came in about 30 seconds, but they've started to slow the pace down. And I think a large part of that is Villanova is getting more organized. Their defense, it just seemed like they were running around in the first quarter, and now they seem like they know what to do. They're getting guys in the right spots, and they're making those little plays between the lines.
By the way, check out that murderer's row for Penn coming after this. Not only have they played 3 top 5, top 6 teams in the country here so far, you have a number 11 team tonight. You play St. Joe's on Sunday on the quick turnaround as this Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic heads down to Drexel. And then you got Princeton and the stellar Mikey Sowers, Cornell and Jeff Teat, and then you got to play the defending national champion Yale.
Well,
to open up Ivy League play, that's brutal.
That makes, as an Ivy League alum, that makes me proud to see how strong the Ivy League is, and it's good for everybody in the Ivy League because that strength of schedule component is such an important piece of that seeding in the tournament. So Penn has really positioned themselves, if they can win some of these games, to be in a great spot. Now, the key is if you have the strongest schedule in the world, if you lose every game, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. This would be a very, very big win and a nice resume boost for the Quakers. Here comes Campbell down the alley. Remember, he scored 6 goals in each of his last 2 games. 6 goals against Delaware and 6 goals in the 10-9 win over Hofstra. Pretty impressive for any freshman. Kahn to Campbell again. Got his hands free. Good look for the midi.
Yeah, we asked Coach Corrado about that 6 goals and 6 goals and him being a freshman, and he said beginner's luck. I'm just kidding. He didn't say that, but he did say that he doesn't take a bad shot, and that's a key. He picks his spots, and he takes the right shot, and that makes a big difference. If you get eight shots in a game, if you're a midfielder, and you score 6 of them, then that's really, really good.
Over and back violation gives it back to Penn, just as the Wildcats were starting to build a little momentum. About 5 minutes to go here. Game number 2 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Earlier tonight at Villanova, we saw Drexel step away from St. Joe's in the second half with a 10-7 win. The Dragons getting to 2-3 on the year. All 4 of these teams will play again at Drexel on Sunday. Games you can see here on LSN. Noon, Nova and Drexel, and then 2:30 Eastern Time, the Hawks and the Quakers.
Brought up that close loss to Penn State. Penn State is up 9-2 over Cornell right now after 1 quarter.
Sorry, I know that one hurts.
Still time. Like I said, chip away. Believe in the game plan and chip away.
Well, see, you got to be happy for your former coach and Jeff Tambroni, right?
That's true. That's true. I'm always going to bleed big red, but at the same time, I hope for a lot of success, and it's great to see what he's been able to do with that Penn State program once he got his guys and his culture fully entrenched there.
They had a turnover, the Wildcats did, and they give it right back, and it's a fresh 80 seconds for the Quakers, and Tyler Dunn collects. Tough matchup for Chris Donovan, the short stick against Dunn.
He's done a nice job so far. Dunn's gotten a couple looks, but nothing wide open. The one goal that he had was off some off-ball movement, so great work so far.
Dunn gets in front. It's wide. They really like this matchup. They give it right back to Dunn.
Looks like they're going to drop into a zone here. Throw a different look at him.
And especially you look at the second time you got to go through that 80-second shot clock. That can wear on a defense, especially when Penn had a lot of the ball early on.
Well, exactly, and they played defense. They got the turnover and then gave it right back to Penn. So this defense has been on this end for about 2-3 straight minutes. So this zone is helpful to catch your breath as long as you can be effective.
But from
outside,
side of the cage,
classic mom
the
goal.
mom goal.
Even fooled the Penn players there. They were
were
celebrating.
Like, oh, no, not quite. TJ Camizio, the standout D midi for Villanova, brings it over, looks to go in transition, and he gets it. His first goal of the season.
What a big goal. 7-3, potential mom goal, switches over to 7-4. That's a 2-goal swing there. And great play by Camizio. He tucks his stick. He almost a fake shot as he comes down, splits left to right, little fake shot to get the slide off. The slide stops, gives himself that time to get his hands back again, and buries it 5-hole. That's a big play that could change the momentum of this game.
Camizio, a guy who was written about by Inside Lacrosse's Matt Kinnear this past week after the win over Delaware. Has played such a big role in this team. He actually had the game-winning assist last year when they knocked off Yale in overtime down at the Star in Frisco, Texas at the Patriot Cup.
He was a guy that Coach Corrado highlighted and said he's been playing really well, and he's such a big piece of not just the defense, but pushing that ball into transition. So glad to see him continue to have that success and getting the momentum that Villanova needs, especially if they're able to scrap to win this face-off.
Nice little 3-0 run by the Wildcats, but Gallagher gets the ball on the offensive end for Penn. That one also finds the side of the net.
You know what? So many people celebrated. I thought that went on the outside, but so many people celebrated. I said, it can't be right. But
and we get an offensive set. A nice break for the Wildcats again.
Will Vuitton's got to be going nuts here.
He's loving it.
What is in? What is out? I don't know. Up is down. Down is up.
As long as it doesn't go behind me, I'm good. So all of a sudden, this is a 3-goal game. Wildcats on a 3-0 run. Eric Overbay operates all the way around the cage.
Product of Atlanta, Georgia. Sorry, Marietta, Georgia, just north of the city.
Oh, great takeaway, but Kirst gets it back. Lehman won the battle initially, but Kirst all the way to the cage.
That almost trickled in out of his stick. Kirst trying to pick the team up and put it on his back. I think he probably could. He's drawing the double. He's beating his man. If he could find that open teammate, he's going to create more opportunities.
Campbell beats his man. Feed in front, and Kirst gets it. The second of the night for Connor Kirst. It's a 2-goal game.
Great play by Matt Campbell there, drawing the slide. Kirst did a nice job there protecting his stick, spinning and firing. I don't know if he meant to shoot that top corner, if he just couldn't get his arms down enough, but it worked out perfectly. That was the only place he could put the ball as the two Penn defenders are converging on him. And we've got a game here.
Yeah, how about the Wildcats' response? Down 6-1 after the first quarter, trailed 7-1 here early in the second, but now 4 unanswered goals.
We mentioned the experience on their defense. That's got to come into play here. They're shifting back and forth between man and zone, gives them a new look. They're getting everyone together on the same page, talking through those issues that they had early. And then this face-off has been much closer to a 50-50 battle. So those are all contributing to letting them settle down, get back to the Wildcat lacrosse that they know how to play, and start to have some success.
And Dan Fisher gets a face-off win here. And Dan Fisher, a guy at the face-off X who's won a couple here lately. What an athlete he is. Played football at St. Joe's Prep and was the fullback in front of star Georgia running back DeAndre Swift. I don't think he had to do a whole lot.
Yeah, you got to be pretty fast if you're running in front of a Bulldog running back.
And we have a timeout on the field. Yeah, I mean, you just, and Coach Corrado brought that up. He's like, look, and he's one of the two guys, and he's like, he blocked for a Georgia running back, so you know he's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, it's funny, those face-off guys, they always seem to be state champion wrestlers, state champion fullbacks that similar body build, that toughness. That is what the face-off man comes from typically, is that grinder mentality, and so fullback is a perfect complement to this position.
And it's been important, I think, for Villanova to have a couple of options there at the face-off X. And you take a look at this 4-goal run. It started with Joey Fricaro, and then you have Keegan Kahn getting into the mix. I mean, they've gotten it from a number of different guys, but they're the key contributors you would expect from this Wildcats team.
They are, and they've sparked some transition here. Comizio in transition, that the first goal in the run being in transition, and then this fourth one being a little bit settled, but I'm sorry, it's settled 6-on-6, but a little unsettled with the Matt Campbell finding Connor Kirst inside after Connor Kirst had done all the heavy lifting and dodging earlier. So it's good that, like you said, it's their normal cast of characters, but they're doing it in all different ways, and that's how you have success in this game, is to score a lot of goals in different ways.
By the way, Villanova's schedule also difficult. You go to Drexel for the second part of this Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic, then a trip to College Park to take on the Terps. You got Fairfield, Brown, and then you get into Big East play, and the Big East is, you know, about as wide open as it ever could be. Denver, of course, probably at the top, but you got to have Villanova up there. Georgetown has shown some promise here in the early part of the season. St. John's surprised High Point earlier this year, so Big East never easy to battle through.
Well, in every league you're seeing now the parity across the entire division. It's NCAA lacrosse has gotten so much more competitive. Those teams that, you know, High Point used to be like, oh, that's a win, and now they're beating everybody.
Yeah, High Point off to such a stellar start. The win over Duke and Virginia.
A lot of credit to Coach Torpy and what he's done down there, but it's amazing. There's just better lacrosse players, and that's the bottom line, and those lacrosse players are starting to find their home and the right fit, and these coaches have done such a nice job of building some of these programs that were unknown before into powerhouses.
Lehman takes it away. Villanova had a chance to get one more shot here in the first half. Instead, Penn will have a chance to maybe add to the lead. And the Quakers are going to use the timeout because otherwise they're going to lose it. So with 11 seconds left, the Quakers will talk things over. With 11 seconds, if you're Coach Mike Murphy, can you draw something up that's elaborate enough, or is it like, hey, I need to get one two-man game going and see what I got?
I think you run one play here and you hope for a good look. The thing with Penn is it's almost like you're better off not scoring here, as funny as it is to say that, or I'm sorry, not taking a bad shot, because you come in and you take a bad shot and Villanova feels that momentum going into halftime. So either score or hold the ball. If you're going to settle for an outside shot or something doesn't develop, I would just pull that out, because you give them that momentum going into halftime. They feel really good. We just chipped away. We came away. We got a big save. I could see that being a detriment, whereas you score another goal here, it's still only 8-5. They're like, okay, we regroup, we get focused. So I'm almost of the inclination to just hold it. If there's a wide open look, take it. But for the most part, you're not taking it unless you're almost guaranteed to score.
That's interesting, and I like that mentality, because I think you're right. I mean, if Vuitton comes up with a shot from distance and makes an easy save, Wildcats, on top of already knowing that they just scored the last 4 goals of the half, they got to be feeling really good entering the locker room.
Yeah, and that momentum, you know, I think it's a mentality piece, and ultimately we've seen Villanova went down big and they were able to mentally chip away and continue, but having that momentum going into the locker room and feeling like, okay, we got this, we got saves coming, we're making stops on defense, you know, and even if they give up 1 goal, it's like, all right, we're only down by 3, so I'm almost of the inclination, take a look, if it's there, take it, and if it's not, just pull it out, settle it down, and kind of simmer into halftime, where you can then dominate as you go.
Well, get you back into the studio at the half to get you caught up on some of the action going on around the country. Now there's 4 seconds. Shot in front. Sails wide. That was a pretty good look that they got with the 12 seconds left. But Villanova taking some of the momentum back. It was all Quakers in the first 15 minutes, leading 6-1 after the first quarter. But Villanova responding. The Wildcats scoring the final 4 goals of the first half, including T.J. Comizio going one on everybody. The Cats are back in this thing. We send you back to the LSN Broadcast Center to get you caught up with the halftime report.
extra step to get in front.
Skip pass down low. We got a long pole goal. BJ Ferrari.
Hey everybody, welcome inside the LSN studios. Brendan Glasheen, Tom Eschen here. We saw a tale of two different quarters, really, in that first half. We saw Penn jump out to the lead, then Villanova creeping back in a little bit.
Yeah, a bit misleading as Villanova made this one interesting. The second game of the Philly 4 Classic, the inaugural Philly 4 Classic. Doubleheader earlier tonight. We had Drexel and St. Joseph's. Highlights from that one in just a moment, but first, let's get you updated on what was kind of a wild first half here between number 11 Villanova and Penn. So there is the site. Villanova, of course, hosting, and the snow flurry. They're the words. Flakes, they continue to fall. All right, so we mentioned Penn was the hot team early. Sam Hanley had 2 goals in that first half to Simon Matthias making a jumping catch and scoring. It was so good, you got to see it again. Penn ahead 2-zip. Still minutes into this one, folks. They score again. Adam Goldner swinging around the net, scores a textbook goal. And as we see, it is all Penn. We talked to Connor Kirst earlier in the week. He picks up his squad, putting Nova on the board. 2 goals for Kirst in that first half. All right, we pick it up. 6-1. Tyler Dunn around for Nova to score. That makes it 7-1 Quakers, so they respond to that Kirst finish. But here come the Wildcats. Joey Fricaro takes it wide, fires and scores, 5-hole. Villanova has life. The number 11 team in the country is still hanging around. So Fricaro and Kirst, the bursts for the Wildcats with 3 goals combined. Hanley and Goldner setting the tone for the Penn Quakers with 4 goals and 3 assists combined. 2-goal game at the break in Philadelphia. Villanova on the brink of potentially being upset by Penn. All right.
Sort of. They were more on the brink in the first and the second, right? Now they're sort of on the brink. They're like a little bit far away from the brink.
Right. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, Penn made its run early, and let's see if they can hold on and find some similar flash from that first quarter.
Villanova at home, in these last couple of days, so they know the area better.
Everyone's home.
Everyone's at home. That's a good. Their logo's on the center of the field.
That's true.
There's always a familiarity.
Wrong.
We talk about with Towson and Loyola. Loyola went on the road last week.
Everyone's home.
It was 2 minutes down the street. The home locker room feels a little different, doesn't it?
Fair.
All right. So earlier tonight, St. Joseph's and Drexel kicked things off down in Philly, too.
That they did. And let's see how it all went down.
Everybody's home. Everybody's at home as the snow was falling earlier in the day as well.
Is that going to be in your head now the rest of the night? Hey, everyone's home.
Yep.
Why do we even have home and road?
Home is wherever I'm with you, as they say. Reed Bowering to Matt Soran, tying it up 3-3 there in the first. Let's go to the second. St. Joe's on the man up. Nate Patterson to Teo Domick. Fires on, breaking the tie. 4-3 St. Joe's. Mike Adler stood up in goal for St. Joe's, especially in the first 3 quarters of this game, making some great saves. Kick save and a beauty there as everybody sort of gathers around the net and talks about it afterwards. Look at this save. Ooh, he had 10 of them on the day. Beautiful, keeping that behind the goal line.
What do you think they were talking about?
Probably his save.
Dinner plans?
Probably not. Maybe because they all know the best restaurants because they're all home. Drexel takes a 5-4 lead. Marshall King scores. Third quarter, second half, St. Joe's up 1. Nick Fox, the Matthew Varian. Here comes Drexel. It is 6-6, but St. Joe's has a response as we head to the fourth. It's all tied up. Nate Patterson catching it, passing it to Ryan Doran, who scores. St. Joe's takes a 7-6 lead in the fourth, mind you, so this is a close one. But then Drexel on the man up, ties it up. Marshall King smokes one past Adler. It's 7-7. We need one more look at that as King had a hat trick on the day. Later in the fourth, Drexel making their run. Just like Chris Marshall said at the half, he said Drexel will make a run in the second half. It came a little later than we might have thought, but it did. That's Varian, reaches up and over, who had a hat trick as well. Each of those guys, Varian and King, with hat tricks. Varian finishing with 5 points. 7 different Drexel players scored the goals. Nate Patterson, the only one with multiple points with 2 assists. Mike Adler, as I mentioned, with 10 saves for St. Joe's in the loss. Well, there's another weekend of games around the country. The Crown Lacrosse Weekend in Charlotte.
A case where not everybody is home.
That's the theme of this halftime report.
3 of the top 4 teams in the country, all in attendance. Top-ranked Towson starting things against the Jacksonville Dolphins.
Look at Towson. This is their celebration after Loyola, right?
That's right.
Hopefully they didn't celebrate too long or too hard.
No, let's see now.
Oh, the worm?
How they bounce back.
Oh, all right.
Right? You got to come out with some fire.
I almost missed the highlight. I was watching the worm.
In Charlotte, Jake McLean's going to get it started. He's going to fire on here. It bounces off the pipe slightly, and then the rebound by Luke Frommer to put the Tigers ahead 1-0 in the Crown Classic. Towson with the extra man opportunity. Grant Maloof, sure, I'll take it myself. Cradles, switches to his right, and missiles one in. 2-0 Tigers. Jacksonville finally on the board. Nope, not the case. Kobe Smith in transition makes the stop. He throws it up to Brendan Sunday. Sunday now dishes to the doorstep, and to finish by Brody McLean, his first hat trick that came in the first half. Towson up by 3, 4-1. In the second, Towson doubling Jacksonville 6-3. Brody McLean stops on the brakes. Defender goes down. McLean says, sure, I'll stick it. Thanks for the room service. Jacksonville's Jeremy Winston finally puts the Dolphins on the board. I almost said Jaguars, my goodness. 8-5 Tigers. We go to the third.
The Jags don't score that much. The Dolphins got a shot at that.
That was good. All right, so let's go to the second half now. It's 11-7 Towson. We mentioned Grant Maloof. He has no problem here. Goes back to his left hand on the run. What a finish over the shoulder. Stings the corner. Towson adding another goal in transition. Gray Bottom, one of their defensemen, to Zach Goodrich. We know how good he is, folks. The short stick defensive midfielder, arguably the best in the country. He goes to Kobe Smith with the dish. 12-7 Tigers. Then here off the faceoff, Woodall wins it. Andrew Mitchell with the ground ball and the pole goal for Jacksonville. Pardon me, not a Woodall faceoff win. Jacksonville making it interesting with the #1 Tigers. It's 13-9. This one ain't over yet.
Very interesting.
Grant Maloof, though. There he is, 13 in white. He's been doing it all game down the left side.
That was filthy.
Jeesh.
That was full speed.
Fourth goal for Maloof. Towson with an extra man opportunity to ice the game. Timmy Monahan inside to Brody McLean. That's his 5th goal of the night. So the McLean Maloof show, folks. 5 goals for McLean, 4 for Grant Maloof, 4 points for Brendan Sunday. That's a final. Towson hangs on against the Jacksonville Dolphins, 15-13. Alex Woodall, 23 of 32, 16 ground balls. But the #1 team in the country, Tom, was put on notice.
All right, they were. Tune in here at noon tomorrow. 9th-ranked Ohio State taking on Hofstra on the island. All starts with LSN College Central, 11:30 a.m. Face-off noon Eastern. It's all free right here on LAC Sports Network and the LSN app.
LSN also the place on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the MLL Draft. Live on LSN from the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ohio Machine on the clock. Pre-draft show starts at 7. That's all right here at LACSportsNetwork.com and the LSN app Saturday night. Second half coming up.
Ready to shake your shamrocks at the hottest St. Paddy's Day party in the city. Xfinity Live is bringing you over 175 craft beers from 75-plus breweries at Springfest Live on Saturday, March 16th. Sip on your favorites from Victory Brewing, Terrapin, Leinenkugel, and more with our celebrity co-host, Aunt Mary Pat. Rock out to Split Decision, Bagpipers, Irish bands, and DJs. Enjoy food trucks and inflatable pubs, silent disco, bull riding, karaoke, and much more. Whoa, that's a lot. Don't miss out on the party of the year. Tickets are on sale now at xfinitylive.com.
Welcome back to Villanova Stadium, College Lacrosse on LSN. Travis Eldridge and Mitch Belisle back for the second half between Penn and #11 Villanova. The Quakers with a hot start, but the Wildcats able to make things interesting there at the end of the first half. Mitch, as we look back at some of these first half highlights, it was all Quakers. They took a 6-1 lead in the first quarter.
Yeah, I was worried it was going to get out of hand and ugly at the beginning. Everything was going right there. Winning faceoffs, they're beating their one-on-one matchups. Villanova was disorganized on defense. But then Villanova resettled, got back to their game plan, was able to get some contributions from the guys they were expecting to score, guys like Keegan Khan, and they've chipped away to make it a game.
And Khan's goal, along with this one from TJ Camizio, the short stick defensive midfielder going in transition. Those two part of a 4-goal run to end the half for the Wildcats. And the 11th ranked team in the country is right back in this thing, down 7-5 at the break. Villanova has won 3 straight in this series against Penn. 9 of the last 20 games being decided by 1 goal. And if that first half is any indication, we could be in for another up and down second 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think a key here is going to be Villanova getting some face-off wins. They got Dan Fisher out there. They need to be able to control the ball, because when they were able to have some possessions, they were scoring at the end of those. And that first quarter, when Penn just completely owned the ball, they just beat them up. So hopefully they can get some on the face-off X. If not, then they got to make sure they get those stops and cleanly bring the ball to give their offense a chance.
And Fisher had some success there at the end of the first half. Ended up winning 7 of 11 face-offs. So a good winning percentage for him after starting slow against Kyle Gallagher of Penn.
Yeah, he got that clamp right there, and just the ball popped up. But Villanova was able to scrap and get that one back.
Michael Ubriaco gets it to Camizio, and the Wildcats get the first offensive set of the second half. So a bunch of different contributors. A lot of the names you'd expect. Joey Fricaro with the goal. Keegan Khan with one. Connor Kirst had a pair. And Matt Campbell, the freshman midfielder, who's scored 6 goals in each of his last 2 games with an assist.
Yeah, he's going to have to really turn things up if he wants to keep his 6-goal streak going. But tell you what, if he scores 6 in the second half, then I think they're okay.
Here he is. Campbell stopped by Junkin. He may have heard you.
Nice save there by Junkin. Hugging that pipe, getting big.
So Adam Goldner, who had a pair of goals in the first half, gets it to Simon Matthias. Now behind to Lully.
He's got a lot of time on the shot clock, so he can sit back there and shop a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if eventually they try to flush him out. Decides to continue it on.
That's something that it used to be. He'd hang out there pretty much all day, but now with the shot clock, depending on when you get it back there and you get your man caught up, you have a different situation to think about.
I think it would still feel like all day if you hung it for all 80 seconds.
It's true. Lully sends one wide.
Matthias has really been taken into his matchup, or did early. His 2-man game was something that they exploited often and early, and try to go back to that now.
Got a tough matchup against the 6'1" sophomore, Owen Probilski. That one rings off of Baton. I think it might have hit his helmet. Backed up by Penn. It should give us a fresh 80. I don't see the shot clock having reset. There it is.
Yeah, that was a huge save by Baton, and great job by Dunn getting underneath that defender. He's done that a couple times now. He's big and strong, but he's also slippery enough to get underneath the driving defender and get to the middle of the field. That's where you're dangerous. And Baton came up huge with a head save there.
And then he gets bailed out there as the crease violation, so the Wildcats get it back.
Yeah, and that gets back to our discussion of the push versus the crease violation versus the dive, and that's always going to be a point of contention, I think, with coaches and with players. Defensively, you're doing everything you can to take that guy out of a dangerous scoring position, while offensively you got to stay out of the crease, but now you're allowed to dive in there, so it's really a fickle beast, that crease.
Yeah, it's
children's book right there.
A man of many words, Mitch Belisle. Putting that Cornell education to good use. Down the alley comes Jimmy Gabrielson. Malvern Prep grad from nearby Westchester, Pennsylvania. Gallahue gets a run. Junkin with the stop. Junkin's out of his cage.
I thought Junkin had possession of that ball, but...
Shot and a score. unsettled situation. Villanova taking advantage. Corey McManus, his first of the night.
And that was I thought Junkin had the ball under his stick, did a nice job of sweeping that out. He had it trapped, but you know what? His stick came up for a second. That's a great play. Villanova, nice job. Keegan Khan picking that up, getting his head up and finding the open man. And Corey McManus says, make no mistake about it, I'm 6 yards out. I'm going to shoot this as hard as I can.
Corey McManus built like a rock. 5'10", 215.
Yeah, it's funny seeing all the different size players. With Penn, you got these long, tall Dodgers, but then you've also got Matt Dunn, who's getting underneath and a little bit more slippery. It's definitely a different look and feel than the game prior to it. I feel like the game prior was a little scrappier and chippier, and this one's a little more finesse play. And I think that's probably how these teams have built their rosters intentionally.
Gallagher wins a faceoff because the Wildcats are already all of a sudden in a one-goal game. Gallagher double teamed, finally gets rid of it. Saved by Vuitton.
Gallagher needs to move that ball on. He had a wide open Sean Lully. He drew 3 men to him. If he could have dumped that off, and that's one of those where you got to continue working those 4-on-3, 3-on-2 drills with your face-off guys. You can't make them go sit in a corner by themselves and face off. So that way, when they get in that situation, they can find the open man.
Don't just call him a Fogo. Got to be able to play once they get the ball in the offensive set. Here comes Kirst. Bodies up his man, but it's won by Matt McKilrick.
Kirst has certainly been trying to shoulder that load offensively, and I think at times is doing a little too much. He's a big body. He likes playing physically. And Penn's done a phenomenal job of taking that and either getting that lift check in there or just bumping him off his line. So a lot of credit there to the Penn defense in terms of executing the game plan against a big, strong Dodger.
And to win that matchup as a short stick is impressive as Dunn comes out of the box.
And really moving the ball crisply. You know, that was the first bad pass I've seen in a while, but they've done a really nice job of continuing the ball on to the next guy.
Lully once again has his man caught up.
I'd love to see that the interior Penn players work a little bit harder, but it looks like they're starting to get organized so they can start getting cutters from the top down. But this is where you can really get the defense struggling to find those matchups. If you can time these cuts up well, set some off-ball picks, and really pick apart that defense.
Back out top to Hanley. Had a great start to this game with a couple of goals. Down front! And Lully, he helped lull this defense to sleep, and then he puts it home.
And all the credit there has got to go to Hanley. He just dodged hard, redodged, dodge, redodge, and did a great job when that slide finally came. Zipped it forward to Lully, and Lully did a nice job of burying that short side. So he draws a slide pulls off, draws another slide, and Lully follows that slide. You have to have a second slide either coming from the backside crease or across the crease from that short stick on the backside. And this is what Villanova was struggling with early in the game, was getting everyone on the same page. And here you see one guy slides, you need the rest of the defense to follow behind him.
Penn ends the Villanova 5-goal run, and the Quakers able to take a 2-goal lead back up. First goal really since the beginning of the second quarter for the Quakers. Gallagher wins it forward to himself, bodies through the defense, and back up there for Lully.
This is feeling strangely reminiscent of that first quarter. Score a goal, win the faceoff, go down, have an opportunity. Take it off the end line, 2-man game, have an opportunity. So Villanova's gotten away with a couple here of getting stops or saves, so that's been a brighter point here.
And this is when the shot clock can actually wear on your defense a bit, as Hanley got the hands free, because Villanova had to play pretty much a full 80 seconds of that last possession. They give up the late goal that hurts, and then you have to go right back to playing defense.
Right, you don't get that break. You don't get that opportunity for them to try to take some air out of the ball and stall the clock down.
Give it right back to Hanley, the freshman. He's had some success. 2 goals and an assist so far. And that one rings the bar. Goldner had a good look.
Brabilski, number 43, doing a nice job against Hanley. Just 2 big bodies going at it. Pushing him off his line, but staying in control. That's one of the hardest things for a defender, and that's where you see these bigger, better athletes now playing defense, being able to not only control their man, but cover such ground so fast. And now Villanova snap back into their zone here.
Hanley, step down. He's got a trio tonight.
That's just a big, strong midfielder stepping into a shot there. He's shot that high to low a few times, and now he's got Vuitton thinking he's going low, and he just keeps that one high. That was a really nice job of changing up what he's been doing. So we talk about changing planes. Sometimes you keep it the same plane if you've changed planes every other time. So it's really about deception, and in that case, he's done a nice job of kind of running the range of different types of shots over the course of this game.
Back-to-back goals gives Penn a 3-goal lead. And what a performance so far from the freshman, Sam Hanley. 3 goals to go along with 2 assists. Freshman from Portland, Oregon, as Kyle Gallagher wins another faceoff. Whatever Villanova was doing before, Gallagher has figured out.
Yeah, and right there, Gallagher was in trouble. And the Villanova defense, they have to lock off the attackman to make that hard. And I think they're just tired, and that's why they weren't able to press out there. You can see they're starting to wear down a bit as Penn continues the onslaught.
And they just keep feeding it back to Hanley. Guy's got the hot hand. You see Matthias and Hanley playing 2-man game at X. He's got the short stick Camizio on him.
Great job by Camizio there, sitting down, getting low on the hips.
Forces a turnover. Midway point of this 3rd quarter, back and forth we go. It started with a dominating first from Penn. Led 6-1 after the first quarter. Villanova scored the final 4 goals of the first half to make this thing a 2-goal game entering the break. Wildcats got back within 1 to start this second half, but Penn with 2 in a row to extend this thing back out to a 3-goal lead. Wildcats, the 11th ranked team in the country, looking to get to 4-1 on the season, while the Quakers are looking to avoid dropping to 0-4. All those losses would have come to ranked opponents if they can't hold on tonight. Been a little while since this Villanova offense has touched the ball.
Yeah, and they haven't had a nice long possession where everyone touched it in quite some time. So Connor Kirst looking to initiate, but smart of him to continue that ball on and see what they can develop.
Kahn and Junkin had it the whole way. Goldner a chance to go unsettled, and it rung off a stick. Somebody, and I don't think it ever got to Vuitton in goal.
I think that was off the near side pipe. I really liked that. It looked like he was going to feed it back to X and then rifled it short side. I think both Vuitton, myself, and everyone on the defense thought he was just going to feed that to X. So that's a nice little deceptive shot there that sometimes you might catch a goalie sleeping. Vuitton I wouldn't have got there in time.
Yeah. Alex Rosner, the senior. It back to Hanley, the freshman. Look to use the big body, and that resets the shot clock. Good hustle by the Quakers on the sideline.
And that's the kind of effort that you can see that Mike Murphy's trying to build that culture, and over the years Penn has continued to elevate their game with that.
Hanley! He is on fire!
He heard about Matt Campbell scoring 6 goals in games. He said, I can do that. That was a rip. That was an absolute laser beam. Just dodge hard, planted, and as he comes out of that roll, turns and fires. That That dodge to the left, roll back and shoot, that's something that's reminiscent of my playing days in college against Syracuse midfielders. Really good at that. You have guys like Stephen Brooks and a couple of the other older players that the midfielders would just dodge so hard and then turn and set their feet and shoot. And that's so hard to defend because even if you're in great position, they're able to rip that right around your shoulder, right around your hips, and the goalie never has a chance at seeing it.
Tell you what, you didn't know about Sam Hanley before tonight. You should know the name now. The freshman from Portland, Oregon. 4 goals and 2 assists in the first 3 quarters. And Gallagher wins another face-off. In front, big stop by Vuitton.
That's a big save. If they want to stay in this game, they're going to need to come up with a couple big ones. And we talked about this during one of the breaks. You know, you don't have to be amazing as a goalie. You have to make the saves you're supposed to make, and then a couple here and there that give your team a chance. And that was one of those where they needed that save right there. If he can continue to make the saves he's expected to, you know, that one by Hanley, that's a hard save to make. He's shooting as hard as he can off the pipe and in. So you make those kind of saves, give your offense a chance to get into a rhythm, find some gaps.
The dive, we've got a flag down. I don't believe it went in either.
That was definitely a push. He was going to go wide of the goal mouth. The defenseman pushed him, continuing his momentum towards the goal mouth. So that's definitely going to be a push with possession here.
Gonna be Gabrielson.
Smart play there.
Yeah.
Smart play. You basically are drawing the foul, or you're going to get yourself into a great shooting position. So smart play by Gabrielson.
And so the push against Piper Bond, the short stick defensive midfielder for UPenn.
And this is what Villanova needed. They weren't able to get many good looks here on 6-on-6 the last few tries. So now they've got an extra man opportunity. If they can score one here, that'll be a big boost to their offensive production, and big boost to, I think, the mentality of understanding what they need to do.
And Reed Junkin helping get this goal all situated. You know he doesn't want the goal to be off because he doesn't want to screw up what he's got going on.
It's just reminiscent of hockey goalies. Is he going to start piling up the turf beads next to the
making sure this thing's locked in?
With the dive coming, you gotta build up the snow on the sides of the goal, make sure those wraparounds don't come in.
So a man-up chance here for the Wildcats. 0 for 1 tonight. Had an extra man that came on the heels of a Penn man-up. Weren't able to cash in the first half. Timmy Harding, number 52, in there on the man-up unit for the Wildcats.
Wow.
And front, McManus shot kicked away.
Kick saved by one of the defensemen. That was a hard boot. That thing went all the way. That came out almost as fast as it went in.
And here come the Quakers. Vuitton with a stop.
Vuitton, a couple huge body saves, kind of stepping and punching upwards. The last 2 opportunities, did a nice job.
Matt Campbell in all sorts of trouble. Gets it to Kryza. Kryza saves it. You got to get it over midfield.
4 seconds to do so, and they do. Smart play there, dumping it over, running back, giving your midfielder a chance to run up and get it. That's a really heads-up play there.
And so the Wildcats find their way back, now back to even strength.
And now it looks like Penn's gone into his zone here.
See if the Wildcats can shoot him out of it. Kahn backside. He had Overbay, but he couldn't corral the high pass.
So St. Joe's was the only one I really expected to see much zone out of. They ended up running probably the least amount so far.
Got to keep you on your toes. Shot from Curse wide.
Yeah, with shooters being as good as they are these days, it's important in that zone that you still stretch out to get in the gloves.
Campbell still looking for that first goal tonight. For a combined 12 in his last 2 games. Does have an assist.
Interesting. I think Kahn passed over 3 or 4 balls before selecting one, so Don't know what he was looking for. Is it greasers or
either
location?
way, it's a shot clock violation. Didn't work out for him. Worth a shot, though. Maybe one that's a little scuffed up, kind of blends into the night. You know, whatever he can do.
Maybe he has his ball out there. He's got.
You know, tennis players, I used to, like, if you kept hitting one that was good, you just want to keep going back and get that ball.
Exactly.
Quakers now under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter have taken control right back. A 3-1 advantage in the third.
Definitely a slower feel to this third quarter. Both teams content to settle into 6-on-6, get their offense on, work it around. It's worked out for Penn, hasn't been as successful for Villanova thus far.
And this has been the guy, Sam Hanley, stripped of the ball, keeps it, and that'll be a Ward. You heard it from the crowd.
That's the matchup you want right there. Camizio, he's the only one who's been able to handle Hanley. So as much as you can keep him on there, you're going to want to, because he has dominated that matchup so far, and really the only one who's been able to contain him.
Khan thought about the transition shot, instead just backs it out. Get a settled set with 1:15 left.
Joey Fricaro drawing a couple flags here.
Flags.
The laundry is on the field.
Cursed coming downhill. Finds the side of the cage.
Khan
showing off the speed.
That was a nice little
butt
ender hand save there by Junkin.
Whatever it takes. The flag is down. Man upcoming. Got a whistle. They triggered the penalty.
Trying to understand why they blew the whistle. Got up under there.
Yeah, that's...
Fricaro sold
twice.
that a little bit, but the second one, there was no doubt that he got all helmet there.
So it triggers the man up here for the Wildcats with 45 seconds left in the third quarter. 1 minute penalty for slashing, so if they don't score here, this thing can carry over into the fourth. Hardy to Campbell. Back out top in the middle. McManus has his second. The Wildcats strike back.
Travis, I was just about to say that I feel like this offense, this man up, is getting a little stale. They're just working around trying to find those seams, and Penn is so big and so rangy, they're cutting off those passes. But that's twice now they've been able to find the inside crease man, and this time McManus converts. So nice job there. But I do think next time, if they get another man up there, they're going to want to run some kind of motion, wheel, or transfer between sets.
Nice little bounce shot that confused Junkin there in front, and the Wildcats needed that one to bounce back.
Last game we talked about Marshall King shooting that almost off the hip, that low bouncer that ends up higher than from where you shot from. You kind of bounce it 10 feet in front of your feet. It's a nice way to snap off a hard shot without really winding up so much. So good for an inside crease guy.
A whistle. And the Quakers will get the final possession of the third. 15 seconds to work for Matthias. Loses it. Big ground ball by the Wildcats. They're just going to have to send this thing the length of the field. The Wildcats will go into the half trailing by 3. We've got an upset alert at Villanova Stadium. 0-3 Penn, looking for that first win and looking to do it against the 11th ranked team of the Wildcats. Villanova striking at the end of the quarter, but they got work to do. Fourth quarter coming your way here on LSN.
Hey everybody, Villanova keeping it close out there in Philly. Welcome back to the LSN studios. Tom Eschen here. The Crown Lacrosse Weekend also taking place in Charlotte. Three of the top 4 teams in the country, all in attendance, top-ranked Towson, starting things against Jacksonville tonight. Let's take a look at how that game went. Towson unbeaten at 4-0. Their last game that win over then #1 Loyola. Jacksonville finally got their first win over last weekend. Let's go to the second quarter. 6-3 Towson. Brody McLean puts on the brakes, sends his defender wiping out. The grass was a little wet. 7-3 Towson at that point. A little bit later now in the third, Grant Maloof, this time on the right side. Look at the swim move back to the left and scores 11-7 Towson. So fairly close here. Off a face-off scrum a little bit later, actually. Towson on the extra man. Timmy Monahan to Brody McLean, his 5th of the game. Towson goes on to win 15-13, the final over Jacksonville. So nice performance there for Towson. Their first game as the #1 team. Tune in here at noon tomorrow. 9th-ranked Ohio State taking on Hofstra on the island. It all starts with Ellison College Central at 11:30 a.m. Then face-off at noon Eastern. It's all free right here on LAC Sports Network and the Ellison app. And keep it here. Lacrosse Now after the game will feature not only the highlights from the action today in Philly, but all over the lacrosse world, including the Crown event in Charlotte. Penn State, Cornell going at it. Granny Met, you're going to want to see him. Lacrosse Now after the game tonight, right here for free at LAC Sports Network and the LSN app.
Welcome back to Villanova Stadium. What a performance from Sam Hanley so far to have the Quakers up 10-7 to start this fourth quarter. Travis Eldridge, Mitch Belisle back with you here on LSN. Hanley entered this game, the freshman from Portland, Oregon, with 4 goals and 2 assists. He's done that tonight, Mitch.
Yeah, he has been an absolute beast. No one's been able to defend him, save TJ Camizio a little bit, but when he has gotten his hands free, he has absolutely lit the back of the net. And you know what? I don't think he's done yet.
No, I don't think so either. And he has been the go-to guy for Penn in that third quarter when the Quakers had kind of settled in offensively. They had kind of gotten stale in that second quarter. In the third, they went back to him, and he was able to spark the offense.
Yeah, and you know what I think the big thing is? He's not trying to do it all himself. He's found the open man. He's got a couple assists, and he's done a really nice job of when it's there, taking it, but pulling it out if not, and letting his other teammates continue to move the ball around. And because of that, he's got goals in a couple different ways. That spin around, that extra step down, and so it's been nice to see him really not force things, but get a lot of good things going.
And after Villanova had found ways to neutralize Gallagher, was actually dominating the faceoff X, Gallagher wins another one, and he's now 12 of 20 on the night. And Fisher, who was 7 for 11 at one point, has won just 1 of his last 7 faceoffs.
Yeah, Gallagher, it was the very beginning and then the last few minutes that he's really been standing on his head in terms of getting the ball to his teammates.
Matthias sails one wide.
Got the Mizio-Hanley matchup here from behind the net.
And he's actually been the guy, I know he's a short stick, but he's been the guy that's probably done the best job on Hanley so far.
And he's about a full head shorter than Hanley, and he's probably the right height to get on those hips and drive him out, which is nice.
Matthias got the hands free, but not quite free enough.
We've talked so much about Hanley. Matthias has kind of flown under the radar. He hasn't done a ton because the ball's been in 26's stick so much.
That's worked out pretty well. Downhill, Bartolo! The bouncer goes.
Bartolo sees what Hanley's doing. He says, that looks like fun. Maybe I'll try put my body into it. I'm 6'4", I can do this too. Drives into his man, steps off, and lets one go. Another bouncer. Does a nice job at initiating that contact, creating a little bit of separation, and then getting his feet set. I can't emphasize how much just shooters these days are such... They're so good. They shoot so hard. If you can create that separation, that's the difference maker. And being physical is an easy way to do that.
And it's tough to fault Will Vuitton, the freshman goalie for Villanova, because he's made double-digit saves. These shots, I mean, some of them have just been too tough to stop.
True, and this is where Villanova is going to get into that cycle where they need to press out and they need to slide, but they need to make sure that they're not giving up that inside look as well.
And we've got a flag down as the Quakers are going to go man up here as Probilski touches it up. And you could sense maybe a little frustration on this loose ball on the faceoff because Penn has been so dominant at the X. And you get Corey McManus coming out of the offensive side and just whacking the head of Piper Bond.
Yeah, that's not a smart play. You know you're not going to get the ball. You go in for the whack. You know, that's kind of a Hail Mary that you're throwing in there. You're better off just going for the bottom hand or even conceding that and then trying to ride it back.
Extra man chance for the Quakers. 0 for 2 tonight. You got some guys who can really sling it from outside, including number 26 out top in Hanley.
Or run a little wheel play. They started with a man at X, have rotated into a 3-3. This is the motion that I was looking for from Villanova. Then again, they're 0 for 2, so who knows?
Yeah. Sometimes you just need somebody to make a play. Nice save by Vuitton.
Big save. Vuitton's staying tall, jumping up and punching that out of there. That's huge. That was a nice ball movement there by Penn. And a good look inside. Kind of a spin around, and look what I found. I'm right in front by myself. I might as well take this.
Chris Donovan's only got 2 seconds to get it over midfield. The long pass ahead, and it's completed, and we're back to even strength as Patrick Daly brings it in. With the new clearing rules with the 20 seconds, we get some more of those passes where you got to take a risk to go down the far side.
Yeah, and that comes down to practicing that in practice and making sure your attackmen are completely aware. Having some other plays where maybe you have an attackman and a midfielder switch to get that open look further down the field, but certainly need to make sure that your attacker engaged in the clear. They can't just hang out down there.
Quakers have scored 3 straight after Villanova got this thing to a 1-goal game at 8-7 in the third. And the Wildcats throw it away.
Yeah, and Matt Campbell, you know, we talked about him scoring 6 goals 2 games in a row. He is a freshman, so, you know, it's almost that, like, that mentality where you're a freshman, so you kind of try some different things, but then as you get in the meat of the season, plays like that start coming back to bite you. So you gotta continue to learn, continue to develop, and that's where sometimes you'll have 6-goal games, and sometimes you'll throw the ball away on offense unpressured.
Shots on goal heavily favoring Penn, and the possession has just been slated in the way of the Quakers, as that one rings the bar. About the only thing that hasn't gone for Hanley tonight.
A nice little move there by Hanley. Didn't have much of an angle there. I think Vuitton did a nice job of cutting that off, but he figures, hey, I'm so hot, anything might go in.
Might as well. And they give it to Villanova on the backup along the sideline, so good chance for the Wildcats. This becomes a really important possession as we tick toward 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think if Villanova can make this an 11-9 game, as they get in that 6-7 minute mark, then you feel really good. If it's still this 4 goal margin, that's going to be a lot tougher, because then you got to start taking more chances, and you have the potential to give things up and transition the other direction.
Hurst has a couple tonight, getting all sorts of attention from the Quakers. Good defensive play. It's deflected way back over midfield.
Was that Noah Lehman again? His stick has been everywhere down in that defensive end. I've been very impressed by Penn's ability to knock down passes, get sticks in lanes, get pieces of shots, get trail checks. They're really doing a nice job.
Oh, and when you look at Lehman, he missed the last 2 years with injury. He was part of that really highly regarded recruiting class that includes Matthias and Dunn and Rosner, and he hasn't, unfortunately, just hasn't been on the field, but part of that U19 team that won gold in 2016 and now getting a chance to show his stuff. Yeah,
and you know what? It's such a great inspiration for, you know, my other gig is coaching kids, and you get kids that get knee injuries, and, you know, we've got a player that just had to have a labrum replacement in his hip, and he's in the 8th grade. It's like, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can be hurt for 2 years, the prime of your college career, and then come back and have a phenomenal season. So that's important that players understand, like, you might get injured, but look to guys like that who have continued to have success after coming back from injury.
Wildcats clear. This is Gallahue, second line midi, out there for Villanova, who just needs to get an offensive set here. Something where they get a bunch of guys some touches and get a good look.
Yeah, no one's really been able to beat their man one-on-one. We talked about that being a key, or finding those skip lanes, and they haven't done either of those two things, and so that's why they haven't really gotten many quality looks.
Kinnear's shot is saved by Junkin. He comes way out of the cage, able to shuffle it off. Piper Bond makes a guy miss.
Nice little shake midfield there. Got some oohs and ahs from the bench.
Deservedly so. Freshman from the Gilman School. Home of none other than LSN analyst Davey Emla.
Trilogy Lacrosse founder Ryan Boyle.
Yeah, there you go. You got
MLL
Marcus
Commissioner
Holman,
Sandy
Brown. A lot of Gilman grads.
Former Cornell faceoff man JD Nelson.
There you
Slip
go.
that one in there.
Got to get your Big Red some love.
AKA Poodle.
You get your Big Red some love. Otherwise, not getting a lot of love tonight. That shot sails high.
Not looking good for them down in Charlotte. Rich Tambroni's got the old stealing the old playbook or the game plan, I think.
He's still got some eyes and ears in the athletic department there in Cornell, up in Ithaca. Matthias beats his man, but Vatan going low for the stop.
I think if Vatan wasn't playing as well as he would, we'd be looking at an entirely different game. So Villanova certainly has to be happy with what they've got going on between the pipes there. Now they need to provide some support on the other end of the field for him.
Joey Fricaro, who had the ball there for a second, he has a goal tonight, but hasn't touched the ball a ton. It's been a lot of Connor Kirst. Fricaro goes to work here. Somehow got that shot off.
Wow, and they're calling a
crease.
I cannot believe they didn't call a hold there. He initiated the contact, but I thought the defenseman was up in his shoulder and neck area, so I think he did too. That was like he thought it was a gimme there. I'll just throw it on one-handed.
Now Wildcats have some starting to run out of time here as Matthias works his way against Camizio. And they can feel it, this Wildcats defense pressing out a little bit.
Well, and this is interesting here, Travis, because these teams both have to play again on Sunday. And so with a 4-goal lead, obviously it's not big enough that you feel like, okay, we can take all of our starters out and rest them. But you score 1 or 2 more, and then maybe you start thinking, okay, who am I going to not run anymore? Or do you have enough faith in your second-line midfielders, maybe your 4th or 5th attackman, that you start subbing them in and let them milk the clock a little bit, and then if things get tight, then you put your starters back in. But certainly got to start thinking that way as you head towards Game 2.
Now, this is the second game of 4 games as part of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Of course, had Drexel beat St. Joe's in the first game here at Villanova tonight. And then the 4 of these teams, as that one rings the bar from Goldner and gets a fresh 80 seconds for Penn, and they'll take this thing down. Coming up on Sunday, games you can see also here on LSN from Drexel. You got Villanova taking on the Dragons. That's a noon Eastern start in West Philadelphia. And then St. Joe's and Penn rounding out the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic at 2:30 Eastern time.
Both those games should be good.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how they match up because, as we mentioned, these teams playing a little bit of a cleaner game with crisper passes. Those two teams more of a knockdown, drag-out fight, scrapping for those loose balls. So it's kind of funny. I feel like sometimes teams play to the other team's styles. So which way will it go? Will St. Joe's and Drexel clean up the ball and keep it in the air more, or will these teams start to grind off the ground?
Nice dodge by Daly. Nothing open in the middle. Ball finds its way back to Keegan Kahn at X. And it was deflected before it got to Reed Junkin in goal.
Oh, great check there.
That's big. Owen Probilski.
Just dropping the hammer there on the bottom hand. big boy. Pole on pole. Typically, if that pole's running away, they're in trouble.
And the crazy thing about him is he's the shortest guy of all the close defensemen for Villanova. It's 6'1".
I'd take 6'1".
Give yourself a couple inches. Hey, come on, you had a good career with your height.
I did. I was able to make it work. Didn't see much, but
that's okay.
Played some good defense.
All you got to do is stop him. Kahn. Junkins kicks it out.
And Kahn keeps coming back to that wraparound, and he found success with it once. He's probably tried it 4 or 5 times. It just seems like he just isn't getting that extra step on the defenseman, and that's a lot of credit to the Penn defense. I mean, they're some of the best defensemen in the country. So I think, they might need to look to a different technique.
Kirst wide, and a backup by Penn. Good hustle there by Kyle Thornton, the junior from Garden City, New York.
And Kahn was back there, but he was just gassed. He had run 3 or 4 at the goal and just didn't have the energy to beat him out. So you could see Villanova starting to wear down, going to the same couple guys, Kirst and Kahn.
Done! And that may just be the exclamation point.
Done. We talked about earlier, being able to get underneath the defense. Once you get underneath, it's really hard to slide, because then the Dodger can dodge the slide, or they can continue their momentum. And now with the dive, you can see here, once he realized he was past the point of no return, even if a slide comes, he can just dive across that goal mouth and fire it under the goalie.
Tyler Dunn, second of the night, puts the Quakers up by 5. A timeout on the field. We'll be back here on LSN.
Hey everyone, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. It's MLL Draft Weekend, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, live from the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. And as the college season goes, we're getting an up-close look at the prospects that might be future pro stars. The MLL has a list of about 90 college prospects on their website that could be picked on Saturday night. Pat Spencer of Loyola projected to be top pick by many. We'll see if he decides to play basketball or not. Other guys in the list, other than this list you see here, Joey Ficarro having a big season for Nova, Jack Jasinski of Ohio State, Simon Matthias, who we had on the show this week, of Penn, playing in the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic, Brendan Sunday, the subject of our Player of the Year watch this week, along with Zach Goodrich. Ohio is on the clock right now. Florida at number 2, Boston in both 3 and 4, that 4th from Atlanta. The defending champs in Denver, 2 first-round picks. See the MLL Draft right here on LAC Sports Network, Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be here for the pre-draft show at 7 p.m., getting you ready with interviews, breakdowns, and analysis on what the 2019 MLL Draft class will look like. Saturday night right here on LSN and the free LSN app.
Back here at Villanova Stadium, coming out of the timeout, the Quakers have held Villanova scoreless in this 4th quarter, and they've run this lead to a 5-goal advantage over the Wildcat, the 11th ranked team in the country, down by 5 with just 5 minutes to go. Penn has scored 5 of the last 6 goals to take control of this game, a game they led 6-1. The Wildcats got within 1 at the start of the 3rd quarter, but Mitch, Penn has really done a good job down the stretch of this game to keep the Wildcats off the scoreboard and to really get the best out of their offensive sets.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, is they are scoring at the end of these long possessions, and it's exactly what Mike Murphy said. They're deep, right? Tyler Dunn, 2 goals. Bartolo, a goal. Sam Hanley, 4 goals. So all of their starting midfielders have scored. All of their starting attackmen have scored. When you're getting that kind of balanced offense, and then don't forget B.J. Ferrari pitching in and chipping in a goal from the back end. So when you get goals from all of your offensive players, it's you're guaranteed at least 6 right there. So that's a pretty good start.
Remember to start your lacrosse Saturdays with LSN College Central on LAC Sports Network, beginning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Every single week we'll get you ready for the biggest games of the weekend from around the country. Don't let your game day begin without checking out LSN College Central, only on LAC Sports Network and the LSN app. Coming your way tomorrow morning here on LSN. Chance to get you ready for everything going on around the nation on Saturday and get you caught up on everything that happened tonight, including the 2 games here in Philadelphia and the 2 games down in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Crown Lacrosse Classic.
TJ Comizio, he is all over the field. He was just...
Now he's on Matthias.
He was just defending Tyler Dunn. Now he's defending Matthias. And you know what? He's staying with it. Oh, there he goes. That was tough.
Simon Matthias makes a man miss and puts it home.
And you know, I got to continue to give TJ Comizio props, even though he got beat underneath there. He had just defended their 2 best players back to back. You know, I think if Coach Corrado could clone him and make him defend everyone, he would. This guy is just all heart. He's playing hard, playing smart. This time he just finally, I think, succumbed to being too tired. And you know, a great play by a great player. Matthias has largely been able to kind of just hang out as the midfielders do a lot of the heavy lifting. And so now he's letting his jets show.
As Paul Carcaterra would say, smell you later. Simon Matthias putting home his 2nd goal. He's got 7 on the season. I believe there's a taunting call afterward on Penn. Unsportsmanlike conduct on Tyler Dunn. So man up for Villanova, wipes off the faceoff, but down by 6. Wildcats got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and this is where you do have to start taking some chances if you're Villanova. Man up. So they should get some good looks. If you have a look, you need to fire that ball.
There it goes.
That'll do it.
Joey Vaccaro with the laser.
And that was, you know, I honestly think that Reed Junkin was on that, but you heard that hit both pipes. That's you know, it's like the swish in basketball, the sweetest sound when it hits that top corner that hits a little bit of pipe, but mostly net, and that was a high quality shot right there. Yeah, there's not much any goalie's going to do about that.
Yeah, that was sweet from Joey Vaccaro. Ends the drought for the Wildcats, gets them on the board here in the 4th quarter.
Well, if Matt Campbell can just do his 6-goal thing, then they're right back in the lead.
They're going to win this game. Yeah, Matt Campbell has scored 6 goals in each of his last 2 games. He just has an assist tonight to show for it. That run, I believe, is going to end this evening. It's been a heck of a run for the freshman, though. Got Zach Ornstein back there at the face-off X. Looked like Gallagher went early. He did.
Yeah, that's been the best potion for
the only way Villanova's really won a lot of face-offs.
Well, this is where Villanova, they want to get some good looks, but they're going to have to make that happen quickly.
Let's get pass up top. Campbell couldn't find it.
And with that being a unsportsmanlike, that is locked in, so that's why they're still on man up here after that penalty and goal.
Need to find another one, and they do. McManus has got a hat trick.
McManus so good with that quick release on the inside. That's the second one where he didn't really bring his arms back much. He kind of just rocks them back and then fires that off of his knees. And both times caught Junkin high, was able to slip it below his legs. Nice little no-look pass there by Kirst.
McManus entered the game with 3 goals in the season, the first 4. He's got 3 goals tonight. All of them very needed for Villanova as they try to claw their way back into this thing. Under 3 minutes to go, down 4. Still 4 seconds left on that man up. But likely not enough time for Villanova to get a 3rd goal in the unreleasable. Ornstein tried to lock up Gallagher. Gallagher had a beat on it, but Ornstein wins the ground ball. Bounces off a 2. No flag. There it is.
Just a reminder for the Penn and Villanova fans out there. In 2014, Penn was down 11-7, 4 minutes left, came back to win 12-11. So it has been done, and it has been done recently.
You've got some good researchers in your ear.
That's all memory right there, Travis.
Get another look as Ornstein bouncing off all sorts of bodies, and I think they get Matthias there on the trip.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, he got pushed from behind, and Matthias kind of gave him the slow swat towards the feet, and that finally did him in. But here we go. 4 goals, 3 minutes. Can they set a new record here? Beat the team of 2014.
I believe it's Kyle Gallagher, number 49, not 45, that caused the trip. Either way, a man up for the Wildcats, who just got 2 extra man goals. See if they can add one more, really start to make things interesting. Fricaro to Kirst. Skip pass is knocked down. It finds its way to Hardy. Fricaro! It's saved by Junkin.
Yeah, that's we talked about earlier about changing what you do, and I think Junkin knew, hey, Fricaro's, he's trying to shoot that same far side, and waited for him.
And back to even strength. And a turnover in the ride. Here comes Villanova. Matt Campbell, full head of steam. Backup stays with Camizio. Camizio is everywhere on this field for Villanova.
You know what? Matt Campbell's shooting percentage has definitely gone down today. He hasn't been able to hit the net as much, and Coach Corrado talked about how smart of a shooter he was and how well he was shooting. And sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And tonight he just hasn't been able to find the cage. That one was a little bit of a unique situation. He's running full speed, trying to put everything he has in the ball and blast it past the goalie.
The Wildcats need to score and score quickly. Lacrosse now coming your way later on tonight. A catch up with all the highlights from this evening. 4 really good games to keep your eye on tonight. We had the 2 here in Philadelphia at the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Also down in Charlotte, North Carolina with the Crown Lacrosse Classic. Some big games there as well. We'll have all the highlights from that. Reaction from Chris Marshall, who will be live with us. And we'll give you NLL Week 12 hot takes. Producer Pete in the hot seat, coming up with some of the best takes on Week 12's action from around the National Lacrosse League.
I've got an NLL hot take.
What do you got?
Lyle Thompson is very good at box lacrosse.
I don't think that's so hot.
No?
No, I think that's a very, very cold take.
All right.
Good try, though. We'll work on that for Sunday.
Mike Poulin, funniest guy in the NLL.
Now that could be something.
That's debatable, right? There could be some people that disagree, but I could make a strong argument for.
We got 2 NLL goalie references over the course of our broadcast tonight. It's Reed Bowering from Drexel, played with Christian Del Bianco of the Roughnecks. Now we got Georgia. Shout out to Mike Poulin.
Georgia Swarm. Excited to see their continued dominance in the NLL.
East Division is exciting this year. Tell you what.
You know what? The NLL is always great. Every week in and week out, you're going to get a good game, no matter who's playing. And that's something that I really love about that league is you can never count anyone out. And whether that's, out for the playoffs or just out in a game. But it's such a competitive league, and the guys care so much. And, I miss playing. But it's great to see the development of that league over the last few years with expansion and such great growth.
Kind of like college lacrosse this season, as Villanova goes on the man up and Kirst. All of a sudden, don't count out the Wildcats. They're within 3.
Connor Kirst has been trying to put the team on his back. He's been the hero in a couple games already. And he's just a big physical. He's kind of like, he reminds me of a throwback midfielder, a Joe Belucas type from my era, Cornell, where it's just, look, you can see him. He's lining up on the wing now. He just scored, and he lines up on the face-off wing. So he's fast, he's tough, he's strong, he plays offense, he plays between the lines. And those are the kind of guys, those throwback guys that you really got to respect what they do and the effort that they put in. And that's why Coach Corrado said he is the emotional leader of this team. And you can see guys are jumping on behind him.
Villanova scored 3 goals in the last minute 47 to make this thing a 3-goal game. They're down by 6 less than 2 minutes ago. Gallagher wins an important face-off for the Quakers, and now with this 80-second shot clock, Villanova forced to push out with very little difference between shot clock and game clock.
Yeah, this is where they're going to have to pull their goalie out, double the ball, and maybe not.
Almost
Great
a forced
takeaway.
turnover, and the Wildcats get it.
They need to go fast here, though.
Yeah.
They can't wait.
They put one home here. Turns into a slightly different game. Campbell across to Kirst. He scores again.
Wow. Connor Kirst, get on my back, he says. Let's go. He's not getting back on the wing again, though. That would be, I said throwback. That would be like Greek god heroic. He's going to wait. He's going to go back in on offense.
Kirst with his 4th of the night, 2 in a row. The Wildcats from down 6 to now down 2 and they got 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Now, it would be a whole nother story if they felt like they were winning faceoffs. It's tough here because Gallagher has been so dominant at the X.
They go back to Fisher at the X. They tried Ornstein for a couple. Now Dan Fisher goes back against Gallagher, and he wins it to himself. So once again, you got to pressure out if you're the Wildcats. Matthias can try to use the speed.
They send Camizio as a double. I like that. Smart timeout there by Coach Murphy.
Quakers will talk things over with 46 seconds left. Well, you thought Villanova was dead, but the comeback Cats said, no. We're going to make things interesting here to finish off the night 1 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic.
Well, and you got to love seeing that, the fight in these two teams and really all 4 of the teams. And that's where having this competitive game, having this, they know they're going to see each other out at the restaurants and the bars of Philadelphia. They want to have those bragging rights. They want to say, like, no, we didn't roll over. You gave us your best shot, and we came back, and we gave it right back to you. So it's exciting to see this kind of matchup, and it bodes well for the future of this Philly 4 lacrosse event.
Coming up tomorrow, we got more lacrosse for you to see here on LSN. Tomorrow afternoon, we got Hofstra on Long Island taking on Ohio State. That comes your way at noon Eastern time from Long Island. And then coming up on Sunday at Villanova at Drexel. That is another one of our CAA games of the week, part of this Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. We'll also have Penn and St. Joe's on Sunday. And then we get our first look here at LSN of the first-year program, Utah, making the trip to Fairfield. Going to be fun to be on the call for that one as Coach Holman and Will Manny and Marcus Holman and Adam Gittleman bring that Utah program east.
A lot of red and white in that game.
Yes. You got to make sure that you remember the right jerseys when you come east here.
That could be a tough one if they didn't.
So 46 seconds. Villanova has to force a turnover. They scored 4 goals in the last 2:30. In order just to get this thing back to a 2-goal game. And the Wildcats are probably saying, man, if we just had a couple of those offensive possessions back at the beginning part of the second half, this could be a different ballgame.
Yeah, and it's such a game of what if, could have, should have. But ultimately, there were a lot of chances that they had that offensively they just didn't get looks that they feel really great about. And so that's one area where they're going to say, man, I wish we could have done something a little bit different this time. Here's another chance to get the ball back.
Loose ball, Vuitton. Almost made the stop. Instead, Penn keeps. And they keep playing keep away.
Yeah, and this is where it gets tough. Once they're able to get it back above the goal and into that open space, it's hard to get anything going or to trap a man. They do turn the ball over.
Ball. He got to go.
You got to get that ball out to your offense.
That's not going to do it. Give Villanova credit. Down by 6 with 5 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go. This Wildcats team with a game coming up on Sunday could have packed it in, but they gave us entertaining last couple of minutes. But Reed Junkin and Penn, win number 1 on the season. The gauntlet continued for the Quakers, but they were able to get a ranked victory tonight over Villanova.
Yeah, Sam Hanley, 4 goals. Their attack coming up big with 5 goals. Reed Junkin, like you said, in goal, they know they can rely on him. So top to bottom, I thought Penn did a nice job of coming out and putting the pressure on early and then just doing enough to win down the line.
And how big is this win for the Quakers, knowing you got another game on Sunday, you're already 0-3, to be able to feel good and positive about what you've done so far this season, coming out of this gauntlet of a 4-game stretch?
Yeah, I think, we said no losses. No losses are good in college lacrosse, but to lose to those types of teams and then come and battle with number 11 Villanova, and then, hopefully Sunday, not that it's going to be any kind of cakewalk, but that's a game that they should win if they play to their potential. They got to feel good heading into that Sunday game. Now, again, they can't sleep on anyone, but feeling good if they can get 2 wins this weekend about turning things around heading into Ivy League play.
So that'll do it for Night 1 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Once again, your final score, Penn, the Quakers 13, number 11 Villanova 11. Penn walking away with a win. Thanks for watching College Lacrosse here on LSN. For Mitch Belisle, our producer Dylan Hand, and our entire crew, I'm Travis Eldridge. Our next game comes your way tomorrow afternoon. Our CAA Game of the Week features number 9 Ohio State heading to face Hofstra. That's a noon Eastern start. But right now, we send you back into the LSN Broadcast Center.
Everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to Lacrosse Now. I'm Tom Eschen. That's Brendan Glasheen. One of the better Friday nights of the year in college lacrosse. We had a doubleheader tonight right here on LSN. Just finished up.
Yeah, and then we also had the Crown Lacrosse weekend going on in Charlotte, featuring some of the best teams in the country, 3 of the top 4 in the nation.
And what made the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic special, too? Some of those crosstown rivalries. We were joking earlier, but everybody's at home. So, obviously, the games are going to be competitive. It was all right here on LAC Sports Network. How about getting you now to the first game of the night? We'll get you some highlights from the game you just saw, but in case you missed the first game, let's go there first. It was snowing today in Philly, playing at Villanova. With the man up, Matt Soran finishes there. It's all tied up 3-3.